up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How is your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going.
Woo! Got my applause.
Yay, it's going to be a great podcast.
It's a beautiful day.
Dang.
I feel good.
Getting started right.
We're going to have some fun
But before we do that, you guys can have fun by going to oppositesattractpodcast.com, sharing it with the people that you know. You can follow all of our social media there. You can follow all of our stuff, which we need to get better at posting.
Follow
and
all of our
that
stuff.
Making it more exciting for you guys and all that stuff. But yeah, you guys can follow us at oppositesattractpodcast.com.
Don't forget to share, subscribe, like.
Download the resource list. That'll
stuff.
pop up as soon as you go there. And the resource list, as soon as you go to our website, it's going to pop up. You enter your name and email. And that's a collection of books, podcasts, videos, things that have helped just kind of open our minds to different things, different ways of thinking, parenting, marriage, just different ways to look at things, sex, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, you guys can get that for free by going to our website and downloading it there. You can see ways that you can support the show.
Yes.
All that stuff. So
yeah, so we were thinking, because Miguel has a few days off, of like what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And we were gonna go camping, but somehow Miguel wiggled his little way out of that, and then got me onto a new idea.
What do you mean?
Because I totally forgot that was even an option. And he's like, well, why don't we look up some resorts?
Do a little staycation.
Yeah. And I was like, ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because those of you that are listening, I'm sure heard that our son was being a cock blocker.
Oh, yeah. That was make sure you guys go check out that last clip.
And walked in, but
last week, yeah.
Didn't steal my little orgasm or big orgasm, whatever. Anyway,
he's not stealing your thunder.
We decided, we're going to get a room. And then Miguel's looking up resorts, you guys. And he finds a resort with a water park.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, the kids will love that.
And I was thinking about kicking their asses back to the house so that me and Sonja could stay there for the night. Like, hey, it's just going to be me and you tonight.
Well, so yeah, that's kind of still up in the air. We haven't really talked about what we're going to do with that because we also have pets, you know.
Wait till we get there. I'm going to be like...
Really?
How you doing? Wait, that was more Mexican than Italian. Hey, lady, you want some kind of drink or something?
But yeah, that's gonna be a whole lot of fun. And yeah, we got a suite, so we have our own room. You know, so just make sure we have like a little speaker if we do decide to keep the kids.
We have a speaker
overnight.
that my mom got me for my birthday.
Yes.
So that'll be fun. And
so,
it was my stepdad's birthday yesterday.
Yes,
happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jeff.
Yeah, we love you.
Yes. And then, yeah. So anyways, that's what we're going to do tonight. The kids, they're excited. They have no idea.
They don't know what we're
going to do. But it's going to be a whole lot of fun. We'll take some pictures, make sure that we put some up for you all. Hey, and take note that if, you have that option to have a staycation, even, when it comes to marriage and, you needing your private time because your kids are always around,
Well, you know what? I was just thinking on the way home, actually. I just went to jiu-jitsu, but on the way home, I was kind of thinking about us going to this resort and hanging out for today and tomorrow and how much we spent on it because it's a nice place. It's the Hilton here in Phoenix. And like Sonja said, they got the water park and all that stuff. And through my company thing, it was like $210. Mm-hmm. But I think even without, it was like $220 or $250, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if they have like a little water park around here, and usually you guys have like your theme parks or whatever that you're going to do. And if like each one of us had paid to go to that thing, we would have went to the water park for a few hours and probably spent the same amount of money.
Oh.
Right?
Yes.
Or more.
Right.
But with this, we're going to go there and hang out the whole afternoon.
Yes.
And probably spend most of tomorrow there just hanging out by the water in the pool, having some drinks and just chilling, having a good time.
Right.
So at least like this is a similar amount of money, but we get to spend way more time together as a family hanging out.
So as I was saying, if you want to have some quality time with your significant other, you can have a staycation, leave the kids behind,
you could do that too.
Have fun in, on the counter, the bedroom, the bathtub,
all that stuff,
pool, whatever.
Desecrate that place. Just don't bring the black lights.
Yes. But I think that's needed too, as,
it is.
you know, a couple, a lot of times we forget, you know, we're so into what the kids are doing and we're so involved with what's happening in our life that we forget to take that quality time to reconnect with your partner. It's like that movie that we were watching. What is it? 40?
This is 40.
This is 40. And, you know, they've been going through a rough time with their kids. Oh, it's hilarious. It's so relatable. And they're, you know, the kids are just always screaming and just always there, and they're trying to have sex. The poor husband's trying to get a blowjob, and the kids are screaming, yelling, you know, knocking on the door. And then all of a sudden they decide that they're gonna, you know what, they're gonna
get away.
Yep, they're gonna get away. And on the way to this vacation, they're talking about how their kids are assholes.
He's like, these little bitches, they always fucking shit, you know. And Audrey was in there while we were watching it, and they're like in the car talking shit about their kids, and she was like,
do they just
parents
call their
talk?
Kids
She's like probably wondering, like, do parents actually talk about their kids like that? You know, because whenever you're in front, it's like, oh, I love you, or I'm disappointed in what you did, and then you get in the cars, these little motherfuckers.
But then look,
you know
but then they're all talking shit, right? But then they both look at each other. And she's like, "Aw,
I know,
I miss them." And that is so
it's
us.
Fucking exactly like
at first we were thinking, okay, we're gonna go and we're gonna get this room, and it's just gonna be you and I.
You know that's how it would go.
And
if
then,
it was just me and you, we would be in there like before we start doing anything, be like, "Aw, I miss the kids."
Yes, but
then,
oh yeah, yes, and then you just forget. Like, it helps to remind you why you fell in love.
Yeah,
it reminds you that you guys do have fun together.
Yeah.
You know, and it helps to reconnect. Definitely. You know, and you probably have more sex then than what you've had in months because the kids are not around.
You know,
like, it's so important to continue to date. I think I put that post up, like, men, continue to date your wives, and wives, don't, you know, forget to suck your man off. No, I didn't say that.
Yes, I agree.
It said women
100%.
don't forget to flirt with your men. And I think that's so important too, to continue to, you know, to
check
flirt
each other out
with your significant. We do that,
we do that
all this. We'll be at the store and Miguel's over here. He puts his arm under my arm and yeah.
But it's, I mean, how does that make you feel?
It's just keeping it like
I'm a perv?
You still want me.
Like
I do tell you, you're such a pervert. I do tell you that. But no, just that, like, you still want me.
Yeah, I do.
You know, like, you're still into me. It's a good feeling, you know, after you've been married for 14 years, for, you know, to still have that connection, that sexual, you know, connection.
Grabbing tits and touching dicks.
That's right. That's why it's so important for you to also send your man some surprise pictures every once in a while, or a surprise video,
or tell your partner what you wanted to do, or what you were thinking at a certain time. Like, hey, I was really thinking about doing this to you, or something. Like, you know, people like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like the other day, you told me that you were watching my video at work.
Hey, shut up, dude. Somebody.
He's gonna go bleep on that part.
I'm cutting that shit out. But no, there was something that I wanted to mention. Like, you were talking about, like, continuing to date your partner.
Yes.
And there was something that I thought about recently, because there's times also where it's like, hey, we need some me time, like just me and you.
Yes.
We need to hang out, get away from the kids, get away from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And dating and going out it's not all the same, you know, because last weekend we went out and we didn't have the kids with us. Right. We went out to dinner. We went out to a bar. We were hanging out, and we were away from the kids, but it wasn't me and you. You know what I mean? We were with other people, and that was fun. That was great.
Yes.
But there's also times where it just needs to be me and you and nobody else.
Exactly.
You know, like, me and you go out to dinner, me and you go for drinks, me and you have a good time, or me and you stay the night somewhere and come back. Mm-hmm. But you have to make it that, you know, time for just the two of you.
And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Yesterday, it was very spontaneous.
That's a good one.
You know, the kids are at school, and Miguel has every other Friday off. And I don't know, I just felt like having a drink during the day. And
day drinking.
I suggested, let's go out and have a drink and let's have some lunch. And it was nice. It wasn't anything crazy. And, we just were able to talk to each other, and we sat at the bar and just had a good time with each other, and I know that, Miguel, I guess we could get into, if you're okay with that, just keeping it on the same. But I've gotten a lot of questions regarding how do you rebuild trust, right? Okay. And you and I have gone through like some serious stuff, where trust was broken on my part and your part.
Yeah.
And, when I think back to the situation, there was a lot of insecurity that it brought within.
Yeah.
But sometimes that broken trust is deeper than the situation itself.
Right.
And let me just explain that, because it can also affect the way the relationship goes from that point on once the trust is broken. Because not only was the trust broken with you from me, but I also had trust issues because
of your childhood.
Of my childhood.
Yeah.
So not only did I have to work on building my trust with you, I had to also forgive my dad and work on that healing as well. And some people have a difficult time when trust is broken in the relationship because they don't realize that the trust is also stemming from something that happened a long time ago, and they're not even aware of it. Like, I was unaware of it.
So it's like they feel like, well, they did this to me, so that's why I feel this way, and I'm entitled to feel this way. I should feel this way because that's what happened.
Yes.
But they don't realize that maybe some of the stuff is not appropriate because of...
There's an
or there's a reason for it. There's a reason for why you're feeling that
because
way.
It's like when I was rebuilding my trust, and we'll go over some steps, things that we've done to rebuild the trust. But when I was working on that, like focused on building that trust back up with you, it was almost like I was hitting a brick wall. Like I would take two steps forward. What is it? 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or vice versa, whatever
step forward,
it is.
2 steps back.
There you go. Yes. And I'm like, why? What's going on? Right? Like I keep trying, I keep sliding back. I keep trying, I keep sliding back. And I'm just like, and after a while, I was just like, what's going on? Like I started looking for answers. Like there feels like there's something more. And this is where I'm very spiritual. So I start questioning the pain. I start questioning and I start searching, and, I start looking for answers. And when I started looking for answers, I realized that there was more healing that needed to take place in order for me to love you and trust you. I also had to take care of those daddy issues I had.
Right.
Because you were not my dad, you know?
Yeah.
But I was bringing that same insecurities, lack of confidence, broken trust, all of that into our relationship, especially when the trust was broken. Yeah. Even, more started to unfold.
When we were talking a while back, and you were asking me like how could I trust you? Like how would I act? Like how was it that I could let myself trust you after what had happened or whatever, right?
After I broke your trust, how is it that
I was still able to trust you? And in the beginning, it wasn't always easy, right?
Because never once did I see you you never questioned me. I never caught you looking through my phone.
I would.
None of that.
Yeah, I would question, especially in the beginning, and I think that's normal. But you've known me for a long time, and I'm always thinking about stuff, right? And what I had told you was, I internalize and I think about a lot of things, you know? And at least like for me, I told you like the reason for me breaking your trust was not that I didn't love you or that it had nothing to do with you. I realized that I'm fucked up. Like from my childhood, from my past, from everything fucking added up is why, like, it's kind of like you're saying, like, it's not that this situation happened, so I'm this way. Like, I kind of understood that it's not just that. There's a lot more to it than just that. And there's a lot of shit that I have inside. So it's not fair for me to treat you in a way when I know that I did. I don't know. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to explain. Like, just the same way that I would look at it, like, I knew the same thing with you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's not just this instance. It's everything from the past built up to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but I knew that if I would put that on you, it wasn't because of this situation. It would have been because of my past. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. It just didn't feel right. Like if I was jealous, it wouldn't be coming from. I mean, I guess no matter what, it doesn't come from a good place. You know what I mean? Like, it never comes from a good place to be jealous. And I don't know. Maybe I've just kind of always had that feeling. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it feels like everybody's their own person. Like, we were just talking about that to somebody, to one of the kids, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know what it was.
You were talking to me about that.
But everybody's their own person. Like, no, I think you even said it yesterday or the day before. We were talking about something, and it's like, you can't control anybody. You don't have control over anybody, you know? Yeah, and at a certain point, you just drive yourself crazy. So it's like, you have to be able to let go. It's not that you don't care. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? What's up?
Are you okay?
Show's over or what? What happened?
Are you okay with just...
Go for it.
Okay. All right. So I've been going through coaching, as you all know.
Yeah.
And part of my homework was releasing anything that's been sitting within, say, you know, that I've, any dark secrets, or if I haven't been aligned with integrity. And so we've talked about stuff in previous podcasts about...
Dude, just to be real, this is one of the hardest fucking things to talk about. Like, to put out there.
Yeah.
Like, for those of you listening, those of you watching, whatever, we're regular fucking people. Mm-hmm. Just like everybody else, we just happen to fucking talk in front of a camera and a couple microphones. But like, for real, we just have a regular fucking life like everybody else.
Yeah. And
this is the hardest. Imagine fucking trying to talk to somebody or fucking put it out there like this.
Yeah.
So it's not easy.
And I wasn't, but I feel that it's part of what I'm here to do, what we're here to do. I feel that because people look at our relationship, so like we have such a perfect relationship and such great communication that it's easy for us, or maybe we haven't gone through the same things that they've gone through.
But this is the thing, is that it doesn't have to be like this. It's just with the person that you love, the person that you need to talk to, that you need to have the conversation with. But it's kind of like what you were saying, where you're taking one step forward, two steps back. Mm-hmm. You can feel it. It fucking lingers forever.
And the reason why I was looking at you, I'm like, because I'm feeling like you need to talk about it. Like, you need to talk about it, because I feel like we're going in circles, and I feel that our listeners might be confused by what we're saying because we're not giving the whole truth about the situation. You understand?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's hard to fucking understand. you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. And like what I was talking about earlier, it's not easy to put it into words, like how I feel about that. I'm just not a controlling person. Like I feel like if I need to fucking control somebody in that way, I might as well just not be with somebody. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't want to be that way. I'll drive myself. I just wouldn't.
Well, people do drive themselves crazy.
And that's the thing, is that I'm not willing to drive myself crazy like that.
Yeah.
Like I know that there is no good outcome with that.
Yeah.
Zero. It's going to be misery no matter what. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. So what?
Okay.
Now what? What are you looking at me for? Okay, so what?
So, the truth be told, while I'm releasing and, I've held something in that I did over a decade ago. It was like within the first 5 years that we were together. And I knew that it was affecting me because I could feel the insecurity, and I knew that it was time for me to release this. I've been to Women's Encounter. They gave us the same homework. I wasn't ready. It wasn't the time. And this time around, I knew that I had to do it and tell you the truth. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do because I never wanted to hurt you. But I knew that I had to. I knew that this had to come out, and it was time. And so Miguel was out of town, and I'm sitting in this, trying to figure out how I'm going to tell you that I was, that I cheated on you. And we're in such a good place in our relationship. Like, we're so good. We're so, like, I am in love with you.
Yeah.
And I have never allowed myself to fall in love with anybody.
I love you too, babe. I'm in love with you too. I feel the same way.
And I remember you walking in, and in my mind, I knew I had to tell you some things, and you were talking to me, and we were sitting at the table, and I knew you had Thursday and Friday off, and the kids weren't here, and I knew that we had time just to hug each other, console each other, because I had a really good feeling that I was going to get something back. I had a really good feeling that there was something you were going to tell me that I didn't want to hear. But I had to be willing to tell the truth and take the truth. So I'm setting myself up, and the Thursday came around, and you're talking to me, and I'm not hearing anything you're saying because I was so into my feelings and my emotions. And I remember you looking at me like,
like, what's going on?
And when I went upstairs, and I'm like, it's time. And you ended up going upstairs. And you could feel me, because the first thing that you said was, whatever it is, we're going to be okay. Yeah. Which made it even worse.
Why?
Well, not really.
Why would that make it worse?
Because it made me feel even like more of a shit bag.
No.
Like, look at this man. He's so loving and so like, and here he's like, whatever it is,
I should have been like,
we'll get through
it.
I know, I'm kidding. No, but and when I told you, I mean, what was your, what's the first thing that came to your, because I never even asked you, like,
well, I've talked about it. I think we kind of danced around it on a couple episodes before. That's why you guys got to listen and pay attention to the last podcast. But, like, we've been kind of, you guys can tell if you've been listening for a little bit, just kind of tiptoeing around certain things and things that we talk about. Because, I mean, like I said, this shit is personal. We put it out there. But I had a feeling, and this is what I was going to say, is that a couple podcasts ago, we had talked about how you've been going through this process, the coaching process. And when you're in a relationship, when you have a family, when you're going through something like this, like, you can't, like, it's like either we're going to go in the same direction not exactly the same direction, but the direction of progression, of getting better, of, like winning at life, right?
Right.
Not anything specific like I was talking to you about, or it's just winning, having that mentality, the attitude that you're positive, you're focused, you're driven, and you've been on that with the coaching. And there's no way that you're going to be on it and not going to, like, either I'm going to get on it with you or we're going to start separating, going in different directions. I'm going to be lazy and be a shitbag, and you're, so when you started your process, it kind of forced me to start listening to things again and all that. You have a good influence on me, babe. And,
thanks, babe.
Since the beginning of your coaching stuff, like it's with everything. When we were going through our religion thing, you started and then I started. You start the coaching thing and then I start doing something, But I was thinking about it a lot too, and I knew inside that it was getting close. Like, it was only a matter of time until, I was going to tell you. And that's why, like, when you told me, I just don't want you to feel bad. I love you, And like I said, it's like, it doesn't fucking matter what, like, we're good. Like, that's what I just told you. I was like, I just picture us. That's it. I don't know what it is. Like, I just see that. I see us, our family, what we've done. And the shit is unbreakable to me.
So when I came out with the truth, I just knew that there was more. And I told you, I'm like, I never want to go through this again.
Yeah.
And if you have something to tell me, please tell me now.
Yeah. And that was, yeah. And that's when I decided. I was just like, you know what? You're right. Like, we're doing it now. Like, I don't want to fucking drag this on. Because you do, like you were saying, you somehow you feel it. You feel that it's fucking holding you down. It's like, I don't know why, this and that. It's like, motherfucker, It's no secret. There is no fucking secrets.
And so, when you told me that you were also.
Yeah, that I was unfaithful.
It just, like, we held each other and we consoled, we were there with each other, going through the emotions together. And that day, we spent, a lot of quality time together.
Yeah.
I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. But two, I knew that you cheated. I knew it. Like, I knew it. I just couldn't find the proof. So it's almost like I went through the emotion back then.
Yeah.
And because we've been so good, like, I knew that I was in love. I knew that I was in love with you, or am in love with you. And I knew that you were in love with me. And when you told me that you were unfaithful, I felt such a release from you. It's weird, but I felt all that negative energy that's been holding you down. I felt it released, and I even saw it in your shoulders.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you do you feel better? Like I asked you, do you feel better? I said something like that because I felt your energy. Like I felt it just all release, like all the guilt, everything that you've been holding on to because of that was released.
Dude, well, because if you think about it, like we talked about this in the last podcast or the last one, the ones before. And we talked about the guilt and the shame and everything. Like you're looking at everybody and you see yourself as a fucking fake. You know what I mean? Especially when you do something like this and you're talking to people about relationships and all this other shit. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You see yourself as a fucking fake whenever you're standing in front of somebody talking. Like it almost makes you not want to talk about stuff like this to people. You know what I mean? Because you're full of shit. It's the integrity. And talking to, like you were saying, like your sister and my brothers. You know, I'm the older brother. There's people that look up to me. There's people that call me and talk to me about certain things. And
in relationships,
it's fucking in there. It's in there. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, you're telling them something, but you know that you're not doing it yourself.
That you haven't always.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So that day, you and I spent time together, and it was a good day, right? Like we were just, I felt so close to you, which was weird. Like I felt even more bonded to you.
There was something in the thing that you were reading just earlier before we started the podcast. But it's about like the healing trust part, like celebrating, and which is something that we do pretty well. But it's like not celebrating, but like not forgetting the obstacles that you've overcome, the things that we've done together.
Because you do forget.
Right. There's a lot of stuff. And maybe it's like, this is another one of those. Like, add that fucking to the list. Like, you start adding enough shit to the list, you're just unstoppable at a certain point, you know?
I want to talk about the following day. So Thursday was a good day, right? Like, we just hugged each other, consoled each other. I felt the love. I just, when we hug, when we talk, just, it's so pure. It's insane.
Yeah.
And the following day, I wake up at 5:30 and I'm going to the gym and I feel good. And I go to the gym and I'm working out, and I'm working out like I've never worked out before. Since I started coaching, it's like work through this pain, Sonia. Pain is only a sensation. It's fight, just push through it, and push yourself to do more.
Yeah.
So while I'm doing this, at the end, I decide that I'm going to stretch and just be with myself. And I get this overwhelming feeling that I just need to cry. And it's not just a tear cry. It's the ugly cry.
The ugly cry.
And I start driving home, not listening to any music, and I am bawling like a baby. And before I get to the house, I'm like, all right, Sonia, you need to stop this. And it's weird because I'm thinking about you. Like, I'm like, you need to stop this. You don't want to make him feel bad. You know, because he's going to see you like this and he's going to feel bad. You know, and so I come into the house and we're in the kitchen. I think we were making coffee, and you're talking to me and you're asking me questions.
Yeah, clueless. Clueless, probably.
I don't think you. I don't know. Were you?
This time I wasn't.
I don't know. Were you?
I don't know. Depends on what I said. What I say. What I do.
Well, we were just asking. We were just making coffee. We were having a conversation, and I was trying to keep it in, and then all of a sudden, I couldn't anymore, and I turned around and I came upstairs.
Yeah.
You still didn't have a clue?
No, I could tell. I remember. I could tell something was up.
And I go in the room and I see my big ass dog on the floor, Jane.
Yeah.
And I just I get behind her and I'm spooning my dog, holding on to her. And it's just flowing. Like, I am a freaking disaster. I am a mess. I mean, I was crying and it was not stopping. And this is so crazy. So while I am a mess and going through this, I'm thinking to myself, or I'm trying to feel, where is this coming from? What is this? That's what I'm thinking. Like, what is this?
Why do you have
Because
this
I'm
feel?
not feeling sad. Like, it's not, I'm not thinking about how could he, or who was he with, or when did it happen, or there was no anger. I was neutral. It was the weirdest thing ever. And I realized that it was releasing. I had to release whatever I've been holding on to, this guilt. I can't even name it. And I'm not going, because there's no name. It was just releasing whatever was within me had to come out, and it was coming out.
Just let it all go.
But I wasn't angry at you. I wasn't thinking about how could he said he loved me. How can you do that? It was nothing
It was
like
just like
that.
ending.
It was just releasing whatever was within, whatever. I don't even know. But while I'm releasing, you know what I was thinking?
What?
This is how my baby girl felt. Because I've never been heartbroken, ever. People know this. People that have been listening to this podcast, I have been the betrayer. I have been the cheater. Oh, you're not cheating on me. I'm going to cheat on you first. You're not going to hurt me.
Right.
Right? That was having to deal with daddy issues, abandonment issues, all of that. I was the betrayer.
No.
I was the one. I've never gotten hurt before. I've never cried over a man before. I didn't know what that felt like. So when Audrey was talking about her crush and she was crying, I'm like, baby, I'm so sorry that I can't relate to what you're feeling. I said that.
Yeah.
And she's like, Mom, why can't I be like you? And I said, baby, because you were made from love. Your daddy and I are in love. You were made from love.
No.
But when I was going through all this, it was such a beautiful feeling, which is
weird,
that I now
yeah,
can relate to women and men that have had a broken heart.
That's crazy.
And it was, I can't even tell you in that moment what I was going through. But it was me looking within myself and realizing that now I can relate to my daughter when she does have a broken heart, or someone that I'm coaching and someone that I'm here to help. And I also realized that it was a release. I wasn't feeling sad. I wasn't emotionally connected to whatever this crying
the
was.
event or whatever happened. Yeah.
I wasn't angry at you.
Yeah.
Like, I was still full of love for you.
Yeah.
And you walked into the room.
Yeah. So, yeah, at a certain point, you went upstairs and all of this was going on. But before I tell you about that, make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. Share it with the people that you know. When you guys go there, you can watch the podcast. You can listen to the podcast there. You can follow all of our social media there. And you can see ways that you can support the show. If you click on the menu button or you click on the support the show tab at the top, you'll see that. And when you click on that, it'll take you to our Amazon link. When you're on Amazon, you can find our merch, t-shirts, phone cases, pop sockets. Just search Opposites Attract Podcast t-shirt or phone case and that it'll pop up. But whatever other shopping you do on Amazon, if you click through our link on our website, they'll give us a kickback whenever you guys buy anything. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it'll help out the show. So we definitely appreciate that. And we're also, when you click the support the show tab, you'll see a link to Trust Inc., which I don't even know what's happening with Trust Inc.
Hey, I got a new contract,
mean,
and
we're
I just
still
worked
working
that
it, right?
first contract.
Hell yeah.
So if you are in the process of purchasing, refinancing, or selling your home, you can request Trust Inc. to be your signing agency.
Yep. And you can go to Trust Inc. directly by going to trustinkusa.com.
Yes, yes.
And we're also affiliates with Pinwheel, which is the best smartphone available out there for kids. It has GPS tracking. You can see all of the text messages that your kids get. You have to approve all the contacts so you know exactly who they're talking to. You have to approve all the apps so you know what's on the kid's phone. And that's something that the apps that are all in their app store are all picked by parents, by counselors, therapists, people that have kids' best interest in mind. They want them to, be productive and successful, and they don't want them addicted to their phones because it's like a little casino, freaking trying to get the next skin, get the next app, get more points and all that, level up. So they don't have anything on there that's going to keep kids hooked on their phones, you know? So if you guys want to give it a shot, go to pinwheel.com. Use promo code OAPTEN all together, all in caps on pinwheel.com.
Yes, yes. And if you would like to buy us a coffee or an alcoholic beverage, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod.
Yes. Awesome. And if you guys would like to give us a call, leave us a message. If you guys are enjoying this episode, you want to let us know how it's going, if you guys appreciate it or whatever, you guys if you want to send us a question too, you can be anonymous. You don't have to give us your name or anything, and we'll answer it on the show. But you can call us at 480-331-9846.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, we were saying, so you had come upstairs, and at first, I could tell when you were down here that you were working some stuff out. And I just kind of left you alone for a little bit because I didn't know if you wanted to be alone. I didn't know if you wanted me up there. And I just kind of wanted to respect that. So at a certain point, I walked upstairs and I saw that the bedroom door was open. And I saw you laying on the floor with the dog. And that's when I went in and, started hugging you. And, I don't want you to feel bad. I want us to move forward. We have a great life. This is something that we have to work through, But I want us to focus on we have a lot of good. I don't want to dwell on the issues and the problems. Yes, it is important to think about it from time to time and learn from it and all that. But
we've been able to talk about it.
Yeah.
And and just on not really, because the truth is that when it was released, when, after, you just lay down and you held me, and we laid there for quite some time. And when it was released, I knew that our relationship, I already felt closer to you, which is weird.
Yeah.
I haven't thought for a minute, oh, who's he going to be with when he goes out of town?
Yeah. And I went out of town the very next week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's something that's different because who knows how this was our experience and how it happened for us. But I can't imagine. There's different circumstances for different people, and different things happen at different times. You know what I mean? This is how it happened for us, us talking about the infidelity and cheating and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't always happen where it's 10 years later and you've been working on yourself and I've been working on myself. Right. And it's sometimes it's you fucking walk in and it's a shit show happening. So there's a lot more probably in a situation
emotions,
like that,
trauma
wrapped up in it.
Oh my goodness.
So I can't, it's kind of hard to,
yeah,
say how it would go for anybody else because that was just how our experience happened.
Well, we can only share what we've gone through and what we experienced with our situation.
Right.
Now, I can tell you without a doubt that if this is something that happened recently or happens after this, Like after we've gone through
Right.
this,
Yeah.
it's going to be way different. Like the response is going to be different. The way things unfold is going to be different. All of it.
Yeah.
And I can't even, just thinking about that right now in this moment gets me sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
And I can't answer any questions regarding that because my response would be totally different. But I can tell you that because of where we are and who we are today and how much we worked at our relationship, that because this happened so long ago, it still hurt. It was just different because of where we are. Like, I know that you're in love with me and I know that I'm in love with you.
Now we're committed to each other.
And we're different people today than what we were 10 years ago.
Right.
You know? But it's still continuing to work on our relationship. It's still rebuilding a trust that was broken. It's still working on us to continue growing together, but growing as individuals as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's me stepping up, knowing that I am not in control of you and that you are not in control of me. Right?
Right.
You know,
I mean, just as a human being, like, I don't ever feel like telling somebody what to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, like no matter what it is. I mean, if I'm at work or whatever, it's like, hey, can you, would you? Because I don't feel like it's my place to tell people what you need to do.
right.
This is your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, however you feel about it, this is your life. You do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of the things that you want may not have the best outcomes or whatever, but it's up to everybody's their own individual person, you know?
I wanted to share with you because when I came out and I confessed to you, you took on the responsibility as being like, well, I was an asshole. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't, treat you the way you should have been treated. Like you were, but regardless of the situation, regardless of who you were back then, I had a choice. I had a choice.
You did. Yeah.
Regardless of what you did and how I was feeling about you back then, still was not an excuse because I could have walked away from the relationship. I didn't have to do what I did. I could have said, you know what, I'm not happy. Just like being in here, being in this house, we went through a situation and I was upfront with you. Hey, I'm starting to like attention outside of our marriage. I know this feeling very well. I'm very familiar with it and it never does me any good. Right? Because I knew what was happening within and I knew me enough to know that I needed to come because I loved you enough and respected you enough to come to you this time around so it wouldn't happen again.
And you know what? Sometimes when you hear something like that, like when you would tell me, sometimes it makes you, especially when it's your wife or whatever, like it makes you feel insecure. And you don't even want to deal with it sometimes. Like it's like it doesn't feel good. I don't want to and that's, I think, most things in life. It doesn't feel good. I don't like how this is making me feel or this hurts. Fucking stop.
Mm-hmm.
But little by little, you have to address it. Like if you care, even if it doesn't feel good, even if it makes you feel insecure, you have to fucking work on it and do it anyway. You know what I mean? If you really care. And like, even though I didn't want to listen, like it made me feel weird when you would tell me these things. It's like, all right, well, at a certain point, it's like, what's happening? Like, I can't just ignore it. What am I doing? What is the situation? Like, and work through it, you know?
Right.
But running from it is never the option. Or it just doesn't turn out right.
And during that time, like when I did bring that up to when I brought that up to you, the 5 love languages was dropped on us.
Yeah.
And we realized that my love language is physical touch.
Right.
And it was like a fucking light bulb. Right. Ding.
Yep.
Right. And yours, ding.
Right.
And once we started loving each other the way each other wanted to be loved.
Right.
Then we both got what we wanted.
That was a big thing. Yep. Because as soon as like it would make me feel insecure or whatever. And then we started learning about the 5 love languages. And it's like, okay, maybe I should try to like naturally, because naturally for me, it was acts of service at that time or quality time or whatever. And yours is physical touch. So naturally for me, what's most comfortable is to do something for you.
Right.
Or to spend time with you. But naturally is not so much like feeling you up or holding your hand or like we could be sitting in the car and, you know, we could just drive somewhere.
Right.
You know, but I noticed that you like to hold hands, or I noticed, and the truth is, like after a while, it's like, you know, let's hold hands, or you know what, it's
you're
just
more
it's
affectionate now. Maybe it's because it just
happens over time.
Right.
I think it just like I said, at a certain point, that you start working them all.
Yeah.
Right. When you've been doing them for a while, and you just start working them all because it's not even that you think about it. You're just putting your partner first all the time. Right. You know,
I think with the 5 love languages, you guys, if you're struggling in your relationship, the 5 love languages isn't an be it all. Like it's not
going to fix everything.
It's right. Like it's working through your trauma. It's facing, you know, those pains. Start questioning the pain. Start facing whatever childhood trauma you have that may be affecting your relationship, and then you just be unaware. You know, a lot of times you're unaware that it is affecting your relationship. So it's work. A relationship, it's work.
Yeah.
You know, everything in life is work, and it's really taking responsibility for self. It's looking in the mirror and taking responsibility and taking ownership, and stop blaming everybody for the situation you're in. You know, like I could have took that when you said, well, I was an asshole back then. Like I wasn't treating you the way you should have been treated, blah, blah, blah. I could have taken that, but I'm like, no, I had a choice and I chose wrong.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do, regardless of who you are,
right.
I had a choice. And the same thing with you.
Right.
We all have choices.
Right.
And where we're at today is because of the decisions and the choices we've made.
Yeah.
You know, which has produced our actions, our results, all of it. But it's taking ownership. And once you take ownership, and if you are in a situation where your relationship is rocky, the hardest thing to do is to freaking tell the truth when something's been broken. When you
find a way to take ownership somehow, because if you don't take ownership, you can't fix anything. If it's everybody else's fault, you can't do anything about that. They did it.
Right.
But if you can figure out how to take ownership, then there's something that you can do about it.
Right. And when you make the decision that your relationship is worth fixing, and I can tell you that if you're together, there's a reason why you're together, right? There's a reason why you guys said, I do. There's a reason why you fell in love with each other. Shut up, babe. And I'm very optimistic. I feel that every relationship can be saved because there's a reason
babe,
why.
You can't imagine like two people just making a fucking mistake and then they just like, oh shit, what if you just get married in Vegas one night?
Well, we did.
I'm not saying I guess if we would have ran into each other in Vegas.
That's different. You're drunk, you're being stupid, whatever. If that's what you're trying to say,
I'm just saying, hangover. Like it doesn't always fucking.
But I just know because if it's
but you know, I think
serious,
you know.
like if there's, you have a narcissist or you have someone who's abusive, it's not healthy, you know that, right? You know that.
But you also know if your relationship is worth saving.
Right. And so if trust has been broken, there has to be an agreement. You know, I've been wanting to talk about agreements versus expectations.
Yeah, I think we kind of touched on
Nobody
it last week.
likes expectations. I expect the house to be clean when I get home. I expect to have sex every night. I expect.
I'm talking about.
Right? It's having that agreement. First of all, knowing, coming together and recognizing, taking ownership, taking responsibility, and making that agreement that our relationship is worth saving. And I love you, and I want this to work. And when you forgive, you forgive. How do you do that? It's knowing, like, I know what you went through as a child because we've talked about this.
Yeah.
You know what I've went through as well. And the healing process that I had to go through in order to love you the way you deserve to be loved and to be free from all my expectations, to be free from my insecurities and from my my inner conflicts.
Right.
Like, you know about that. And I know what you've been through. That's how I've been able to forgive people, is because I see what they've been through. Not everybody's perfect. We all have something.
Well, that's something that we've talked about. Like, nobody gets out of childhood unscathed.
Even if you've been teased at school, that can mess with your self-worth.
Nobody gets out of childhood unscathed.
So it's being able to see the person's childlike heart.
Yeah. I mean, as good as we've tried to do, like, we've been focused on this shit for a long time now, right? Like, maybe in the, I'm not going to talk for you, but for myself, I know that in the beginning I wasn't focused. Like, I could have been a way better parent, way better husband, all of that. But then at a certain point, like, I started, I realized what I could have lost. I realized that I had everything that I wanted. And it was like, you know what? I'm going to do the things that I want to do, which is to be a good husband, to be a good father. And I started paying attention and trying. But there's that time where you're just not like, I don't know, you just don't see it. Or not that you don't see it, but you're just, but you're still,
you're checked out.
Yeah. But it all has to do with like you said, all the things that we've dealt with in the past, and just getting into, I think it's just like the days are just going by pretty much at a certain point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And this is another thing that's very conflicting, because I used to think like this, when I was the betrayer, I was the cheater, that, I lost my train of thought.
Perfect.
That's because I'm thinking so much.
Perfect, because I was going somewhere with the last thing that I was talking about. I don't know what the fuck happened.
No, but this is important.
I know, so was mine.
Shut up.
I had something real good for you guys, and I completely fucking forgot. Oh, shit. And with that, no, I'm just kidding. And with that, we'll think about it for next week. No.
Are we done? Are we out of time?
Almost. But
because there's still a lot more to continue. Like, maybe we can continue the rest of the podcast, like how to forgive, right? How to forgive, how to build trust, how to rebuild trust, how to have a healthy relationship. Yeah. Like, get into all of that, because it's so important, because couples that are watching this that have been hurt. Sometimes there's a spouse that's cheated several times and continues to do it. I mean, as a matter of fact, I have a friend who I respect and love. And I have somewhat disassociated myself with them because they were reminding me of who I was. because they were not being faithful in their relationship. And I was judging them to the core, and I wanted nothing to do with them. After I started realizing and recognizing why, because this person is a great person. They love people. People love them. Such a good heart. But they would open up to me about what they were doing. And I wanted nothing to do with that. Was
it too close? Like,
no, it was because they were reminding me of the shitbag I was.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah. You see, I never looked at, well, like you didn't want to be around them as much, right? Like for the reason that you said.
Right.
I always like kind of had sympathy. Like I was like, fuck, man. Like that, I felt bad, you know?
Yeah. I did at the beginning. But then after that, because I'm going through stuff myself.
But that's why, like, the reason that I would always kind of feel bad is because you kind of look and you can tell the person that they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, there's something fucked up.
Yeah.
But when you look at, like you were just talking about, you look at your childhood and where you came from.
Mm-hmm.
You look at my childhood and where I came from. Everybody ends up fucked up one way or another. Mm-hmm. And you just can't explain some things. Or sometimes that is the explanation for the things that don't make sense.
Right. Like I didn't trust a man because I saw all the betrayal that happened with the women that I was close to, my aunts, my mom, my sisters. Therefore, I'm not going to trust you. You're not going to hurt me. I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Right? It's that I had that wall so high.
Yeah.
And I didn't even see it. I had no idea why I was so not emotional. Like back then, I was not emotional. I would break up with somebody and it was done.
Yeah.
And then I would go back and revisit that relationship only to get what I wanted and then be done. Like there was no emotional connection. And I remember asking myself, what is wrong with you? Like, what is wrong with you? Do you not have a heart? Do you not care? Like, what's wrong with you? And that was way back then.
That's one of the hardest things to fucking ask yourself. Like, I remember asking, like, when you're a kid, and it doesn't have to do with cheating or it's just anything. Maybe it's when you feel like having an expectation for yourself from everything else that has happened growing up. Like, I don't know if it's like, let's say for boys, you're supposed to be tough. You're supposed to be strong. Mm-hmm. Supposed to be a fucking man.
Right.
But if you ever feel weak, like you don't want to fucking fight anymore, like you don't want to push, especially when you're a kid, you start thinking to yourself, like, what the fuck is wrong with me? You know, but that's like one of the hardest things to ask yourself. Like those moments when you're like, what is wrong with me? Like that shit hurts. You know what? Whatever that is, whatever situation that is that you're going through, when you're thinking to yourself, like, what is wrong with me?
Right.
You know?
So for next podcast, let's get into that. You know, how to forgive. Because in order for the relationship to work, you have to want to forgive.
Yeah.
And having forgiveness or forgiving, it's not easy to do. And it's something that you have to learn to do. Right? It's something that you do. You have to know how to forgive, not just say, I forgive you. Because a lot of times when you say, I forgive you, what does that mean? And what does that even feel like? What does that look like?
Yeah.
And being able to not only forgive the other person, in our situation, I had to forgive myself and I had to forgive you.
Right.
And you know, that includes starting the healing process that comes with that. And then the agreements. Yeah. How am I going to trust you? You know, how are we going to move forward? How can
How are we
we
gonna build on
rebuild?
this?
Yes. And everything else that comes after the trust has been broken. Working on it. What steps to take?
Did you feel excited at all after? Like we went through and we talked about everything and everything was out there. Because there was a certain point that it like you said, the guilt, the shame, like it gets lifted.
Yes.
It's like fucking finally. But then at a certain point you have like that love.
Yes. When you said
But
excitement,
then-
I'm like, I don't know if
then-
that's the right.
Well, no, but I was
It's the
like,
it's
like,
an
it was the love, but
Yes.
also I'm like I don't know, maybe it's just my
No, I
fucking
think- go
personality
ahead,
or
say
something,
it.
because I'm just like, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? Let's fucking go. Like we're gonna fucking crush this shit.
Yeah, no, I did get that. I got that.
That's exciting. That,
And
in
I
case you don't know what
also-
excitement feels like,
Oh my
just
God.
that's what that was.
I thought I had expressed that earlier, not the way you expressed it, psycho. Not.
All right, maybe we're different.
But it
maybe
was-
we're opposites, right?
It was the like there's a
The
growing
optimism.
of the yes. You know, like this is a huge breakthrough.
Right.
I felt, you know, like this and I felt more closer to you, more bonded, and it just went to another level. But that is so weird to say that after you just confessed to each other that you've cheated on each other, and then to have this sense of
Optimism.
yes. Like
But
I
it was.
felt that, yeah, that it was a bonding moment for us. And
Maybe it's
when
'cause-
you had mentioned your truth, like I said, I felt your release. I felt the weight that you've been carrying on your back within. It was the weirdest thing ever, but I felt that released from you.
Yeah.
And that's when I asked you, do you feel better?
Yeah.
That's what I meant by that when I said that. Because I felt it. I felt it released from you.
Yeah. Well, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. So
next
speaking of
week-
let's fucking go celebrate.
Yes. So next week we will be going over, you know, forgiveness and how to start to rebuild your trust.
Yeah. We'll work on that.
So, yes.
So thank you guys for being with us. Make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Man, we got deep on this one.
It
Talked
wasn't
about
expected, you guys. I was
talked
not.
about a lot of stuff. But, you know, like at a certain point, I kind of had a feeling like this shit's all coming out eventually. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It all just does. But,
and
thank
I'm
you guys.
looking, I was looking at you before we leave because I'm feeling that burning, like, you know, that the God feeling that I get, the God within, like pushing me like today's the day. And I'm thinking to myself, but I didn't even discuss this with him.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to put this on him and I don't even know if he's ready for it. So I'm looking at you and it's not like we could pause the recording. We
Yeah.
couldn't pause the recording.
I mean, we could, but we
So
don't try. We don't do that.
if you guys watch it earlier, you're going to be like, what the hell's happening between these two? Because I'm looking at you and I'm
That's when I
trying
was
to
like, all right,
read
let's go.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, make sure you guys watch it, listen to it, share it.
All that good
Thank you
stuff.
guys. Make sure you go to oppositesattractpodcast.com.
Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for watching Opposites Attract Podcast
Where we get better.
together. Bye.